Hi everyone, this is MP Grim 2 with M2 Mods, and I'm here to cover some things with these Yazaki sealed connectors for those of you who are working on adding missing wiring with one of our harnesses into the factory fog light connector, or in this case this is the backup camera chassis connector behind the left front wheel well. The connectors are the same, or nearly the same, and the process is the same for getting these apart. Here's the rear of the connector, the sealed connector. You can see there's a couple different pin sizes. We've got like 1.5 millimeter pins, 2.8. I think this is maybe a 6 millimeter pin for this one. And over here you see there's this white plate around the perimeter, all the pin locations. It's called the TPA, or terminal position assurance lock plate, and that has to be removed to install or remove any pins from the front of this or into this connector. So currently this connector is in the lock position with the lock in the back, and to release it from the male half of the connector, you're going to push down on this and push this cam forward. And what that's going to do is as you rotate this forward, it's actually going to separate this from the mating connector, the male side, and push them away from each other. And once that's done, hopefully you've got enough slack in the connector, you can free this up. And then if you want to put any pins in it or new terminal wires, you're going to have to come in through the side of this to get under this white plate and pop it off. And in this case, I'm going to take a little jeweler screwdriver here, and I'm going to go in. I may have to put this in the lock position to get it back, so that you can go in and through this gap with your screwdriver here, and hopefully you can see it, and get behind the plate, this TPA lock plate, and pop it up a little bit. And you can see here I've got it lifted up. I'm going to rotate it around the other side. I'm going to come in and we're going to pop that one up also, and I'm going to just pop it out all the way. You can see here we've got all the pins exposed, or terminal cavities. And since you're working on a factory connector in the trucks, and this is a spare housing, it's going to have a bunch of plugs wherever you're trying to install new wires that are missing. So you're going to have to go in there with a pair of needle nose or something and reach in there, and it's a pain in the butt, and grab that sealing plug and pull it out the back. In this case I lost it down the side, but I just went in through the front with the jeweler screwdriver and pushed it out the back and removed it. But that's going to be one of the sealing plugs, and took it out. So once you have the sealing plug out, then you can install the wire with its terminal in the crimped on sealing plug. It'll keep the water out. Now in this case, if you were doing like the fog light connector, where you need pins 23 and 24, and I just want you to see here, looking at the left side, you can see there's small embossed numbers. Like here's pin 1, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's a 7 written on this right there. I don't know if y'all can see that. And then over here on the next row, on the far left here, is an 8. And on the far right, I've got, heck, I can't tell, 16. And then 17. So then 17, 18, 19, 20, and here's 23 and 24. Depending on what pins you're supposed to use, whether you're doing our backup camera harness or fog light harness, depending on the connector, the instructions will tell you which pins to use. But with that plate out, you can install the connector, and you notice the offset. I've got this thing rotated 180 degrees out, and it won't go in correct straight in. It like jams in kind of cockeyed. So I'm going to take this out and rotate it over 180, and you can see here's this little tab on the bottom, and you can just push this in and it lines up a lot better, and you just keep pushing it, and you heard it click, and give it a tug, and so now you can see the wires in there. It's locked in. If I flip it around the front, you can see the terminal here on the front. Let me see if I can get that up there for you. And there's the terminal. If you had to release this, you go in here and you can see some of these locking pins, these tabs, and you would lift this up, and then you could pull the wire out the back. And you can see these tabs a little bit better underneath. You can see, like on this next cavity, there's the tab you would have to lift up and lift away from the terminal to be able to pull it out the back. But you can't do it with that TPA lock plate in there. And just as an example, I'm going to use an X-Acto knife because it's small and straight, and I'm going to go in here, hopefully, and lift that up, and at the same time I'm going to pull it out the back. And that got the wire out. So again, here's one terminal going in. You heard it click. And if you're doing 23 and 24, ignore these wires because they're the wrong colors for your fog light if that's what you're doing. But they'll just slide in if you got them twisted the right way and lock in. And that'd do it. And then once you've got your wires installed, flip your connector around, take your TPA lock plate that keeps these little tabs from lifting up, line this thing back up, push it all back down, and that's it. Then you just move your cam for the two connector halves back to the open position or forward, push it together with the other half and get it started. Then you start pulling it back, and it should pull the two halves together and seat them. And that's pretty much it for adding and removing wires from these sealed Yazaki connectors. Hope that helps everyone.